Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we are actually working on kind of a cool little project. We're going to make a stick shift console top for the Challenger well, not making it out of, but we're using an automatic one as a pattern. We've got a piece of aluminum. We've just got stuff we're going to do. My buddy Chris is here to give us a hand, so we'll get after it.
This is My Cars Shop.
We're here with the pattern, and we have a piece of 3/16 aluminum. What's our plan, Chris?
I'm guessing we're gonna get close to the edge here because we got a nice long slow curve here, so we want to stay away so we've got something to grind away to duplicate this edge. I'm thinking we just go maybe an 1/8 inch in from the end and the sides, figure out where we want it, and then trace the outside. Because this, I think you said, moves up here?
Yes. So what we'll do is we'll just go straight across and we'll
continue this down here, and then cut this out as a separate thing. Just get the bulk of the piece.
Yep, that was my thinking, because I got the dimensions from some of the guys over at ebodies.org. So why don't I get some of the squeeze clamps and we'll get it clamped in position as you're satisfied with it.
One thing to look at, though, is that this edge has been sheared. So we want to stay far enough in that we aren't at the shear edge, so we've got something we can actually lay into and cut.
Okay, all right, so give us an 1/8 of an inch or a little more.
1/8 or maybe 3/16 inch.
I picked that, when I was laying it out, I picked this side and that edge because it had the least amount of scratches, and there's a finish that's going to go on there, but I still wanted to start with something good, so.
We could always try moving one of these out of the way if we need to.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. Looks like that's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. And you said you're going to do a real, like a real thin.
Yeah. Super thin.
Is that one you brought, or?
No, actually your wife had this.
Okay. All right.
I couldn't find it.
She would lend it to you, but never to me, because she knows you'll bring it back.
The good thing is this is all clean.
I did. I went over that with super clean. So.
Yeah. One of the things that will mess these things up more than anything is a little bit of oil on the surface. They'll contaminate it. They won't draw right.
That's why I use those Milwaukee markers, which I had one, but I don't see where it is, because they'll draw on grease. They're amazing.
No, Sharpies won't, but Sharpies also have that super ultra fine.
Yep. Yeah, normally we'd use a Milwaukee, but because he wants that precision.
I want to keep right down there in the corner, and this will give us the tightest. I need to go get my cheaters so I can see this line. This is an ultra fine line.
When we cut it, we'll move this bench over to the welding area there. It'll be a lot brighter. So.
And I'll go get my glasses so I can see.
Interesting that original top has a little bend to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a screw here that would hold that down.
Right.
And there's one there and there. So.
Well, and the guy that sent it, Eric, he had it kicking around forever. So who knows, I'm so grateful that he sent it, because we could come up with a pattern based on the console, but it's so much easier to have this exact pattern to trace.
Especially because with a sander we can come right up to that line.
Right. I will say that the channel viewers are the best. They support us so well.
Okay, now I'm just going to skip this area in
Yes.
here, and we'll leave that till we go to sand it down.
Because my guess is that's probably where the transition is for the two angles. So we'll have to kind of figure that out based on the console. I'm guessing it's not a straight line across there.
There's two. Okay. There's three. And there's a really good mark.
Yep, got one little gap there, but that's no big deal.
That was our clamp, this was our clamp, and that was our clamp.
Yep, clamps. So let me get where you guys can see. I got to come around this way.
So we can cut down here and cut this off, but we probably want to stay about 1/8 of an inch away, and then we'll come back with the sander.
Yep.
And we'll be able to smooth this out. In
Is
nice
that a regular
long-
sander or a kernel sander? We marked out our screw holes here. I wonder if we shouldn't drill those so we have those reference points fixed.
Well, we can always lay this back over
True, true, yeah.
and line everything up with our sand marks. And the nice thing is,
Yeah, we have enough to make almost 2 more if we
if
screw up.
if we screw up, we've got enough to make 1 more. We should probably test this thing before we do anything, just to make sure the blade isn't going to fly out of there. Oh, and in the state of Michigan, one thing you learn is when you're going to put your hearing protection on, when it's cold outside, put it right here on your leg. You walk around for a few minutes, you let it warm up, so when you put it on your ears, it's nice and toasty warm.
So he's making a test cut right now.
Okay.
Will it work? Do we
Now,
need?
yeah, now we know the kerf of the blade, so we know how far we need to stay away. And we just want to leave probably 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch
Right.
close to our line, and just cut this piece out, but don't cross over the line.
Yep.
When we get down in maybe here, we'll just come to the outside because this will all sand off.
Right.
We'll leave this area here because this is the area we're looking for. We'll just come probably down into here and start again and just take this corner off, and then come back here and take the bulk of the piece out and just stay as close to within about 1/8 of an inch of the line.
Do we need any cutting lubricant or anything on this?
With these blades, no. Good Lord, these things are, well, maybe we could switch to a finer blade. I do have a really fine one in here. These are meant for plastics and
Yeah.
a lot of wood. I don't know how well these would work.
It doesn't. I mean, it looks like it's cutting good, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
going to make
cutting.
short work of it. So.
Yeah, there's no real burr on the back. There's no burr on the front. It's just that's kind of a wider kerf because of the size of that blade.
Yeah. Well, if we're leaving ourselves, I would say leave an 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
And then
we can always come
fine-tune
back
it.
and sand
Right.
down and
Yep.
and
The other thing we could do is rather than, if we sand it, Chris,
and
yeah, with these files, we can do this
got
too.
plenty of files.
We
yeah.
can bevel it
We
a
can
little
bevel it in a little bit.
Then we can bevel it into the line. So. Okay, he's going to reposition now so we can get a better cut. So
And-
your plan, are you coming at it from the other end now?
I think I want to take this off right here,
Okay.
just to grace this edge off, and then I'll come back in here. So just making sure I'm clear
Right.
to cut, and we can come up to close to here.
Okay. Do we
Before
want to
we
be, for this outside edge, do we want to be close to the edge of the plywood so it's not flopping out there, or?
Well, the other thing is I can brace this with my hand from underneath, because with this very aggressive blade, it's making it really buck around.
Right.
But to keep some tension between the foot down here where I can get my fingers on it away from the blade, and to keep a pinch on it right around here as I walk it around, that really does seem to help.
Okay, good. So that way, if your fingers are underneath, you can go ahead and cut them off and you can't see it.
Yeah, at least it won't show up on camera.
Well, there you go. It's all done. Thanks for watching.
And switching over to the true metal blade, the real fine cutting metal blade did help, but it's just a lot slower. The really aggressive blade was really just hogging it out for the rough cuts.
Right, and that's all our intention was, as we said, was to rough cut it, and then we're going to use files and belt sander and other ways to get this edge finished up so this will fit obviously down into the console the way that we want it to.
Tell you what, a garage sale special saw does wonders.
So Chris bought himself a present and decided to bring it along so we could use it on this project because it would make life easier. So it wasn't much of an excuse to.
Well, I was going to get one anyway, and I got the thing and then thought I'll just leave it right in the back of the car because I'm going to head up anyway, and this would work quite well for what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colleen.
You said hobo freight?
Yeah. They have not half bad tools at ridiculously low prices. I'll want that eventually to put in my records, but it's not like we need to read it or anything. Those are just instructions. There's the legs. A little bit light for what I'm going to put on this thing, but they're just cross braces, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's going to take more than I can do.
And a beer and a tree.
Yeah. Maybe we need to put that back on the floor and then pick it up, put it up on the tablet. It's already got sandpaper on it.
Yeah.
There's another stand under the bottom foam. Attention.
Taken attention.
Oh,
There's
taken
another
attention.
stand under the bottom foam. I'm hoping this works. Throw down some tape to try and protect the back of this so we don't just scuff the crap out of it on the metal. This isn't nearly as aggressive as I was thinking it was going to be. This might be our finished side. This is a much coarser belt.
Yep.
So since we haven't dressed this belt yet, I guess let's spin it and try it over here. And
Yeah, I would say I don't know if we want to dress the belt. Let's just do it raw, get it close, and then finish it on that.
we got this little shelf here. Let's see how that works.
All right, so you're doing what?
Just gonna break this edge just to get rid of some burrs.
I thought you said it was hot. How could there be burr?
You see what I have to put up with?
I'm here all night. Sure to tip your server.
Try the veal. Old band director used to say, better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. I was at the end of every song when we were run through it, I would play a little ditty, you know, da 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 dump. And I flubbed it one time, and he got very tired of it. I was being a little butthead, and he called me on it. And well, you know, it's about the time I quit doing that.
It wasn't your brother George; it was your director George.
Yeah. Well, here, you tell me. Is that cool enough to handle?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and plop her in there.
I think it goes in this way, doesn't
It
it?
does. Looks like it did have a little bit of a...
We're just a touch long
Yep.
on both of those points. This one too. But
I think other than that, it looks good.
it really seems to fit in there nicely. We might be able to take just a touch off of here, but
I don't think we
it
need...
has a ledge it sits under.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's thicker than the factory piece, so that may be, you know... Let's get our length, I guess. Let's get our ends trimmed up where we want them.
Yeah.
Do we have the correct angle up here? Because it almost doesn't look like we do. It looks like this is different angle. See, when this is like this and this is like this.
No. Yeah, we could open that up just a touch.
Yeah, we're a little long on this end, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just trimming it up just a little teeny bit, and we're gonna, once I get the shifter boot, we're gonna have to trim this a little different because this side of this console is a bit different between a stick and an automatic too. But the shifter boots for the Challenger are, what are they, $100, $150, something like that. So I'm hoping I can find a different boot.
Well, maybe you could look up in Canada.
And you say you have to put up with bad jokes.
And that drops right in. It's all the way down flat in the bottom.
We were noticing that it's offset that way a little bit, but this one fits exactly the same way. We literally have made a clone of this minus the automatic cutout.
Yeah, I think we duped it pretty well. I might be able to take, if you want the same relief on the edges, I might be able to take just a touch more off that corner, but
No,
and same thing. There's one little burr here on the end, but some light hand sanding would just round that out.
it's not going to make it come over though.
No.
You know, it's worth
That's strictly off the end in the relief, just around the end.
Yeah. Don't think it's that big a deal. These from the factory didn't fit very good, obviously. So
That doesn't wiggle, it doesn't flex, there's no high spot, so we haven't hit any of the edges.
yep,
That little sander worked quite well. We
it did.
duplicated exactly what was there.
I think our next step now is we want to drill our holes, the 4 screw holes, to mount this in there, because we're going to, for the dimensions that I have from the guys to where the stick shift locator is. One of them referenced off this screw hole right here.
Ah,
So we have dimensions from here to where that opening is, and then we also have dimensions from here to where that opening is. So between those two different dimensions that we got, we should be able to get a good ballpark on where that goes in there. So just went through and put some screws through to make sure everything lines up, and we're now going to go ahead and drill those holes in this and
transfer them over to this.
transfer them over, and then we'll see if this will screw in there with the screws that we have.
One of the guys at the shop showed me this. You notice how I'm getting the long curl?
Mm-hmm.
That means I've got the correct amount of pressure to cut at the optimum speed.
Mm-hmm.
So you just start lightly, you'll get chips, you keep increasing pressure till you get the curl, and then you hold that speed and that pressure so you get a nice consistent drill hole. Because when you really speed it up, you're just chewing chips out of there, and it's shifting your bit around in
Right.
the hole because those chips have to come out too. With a nice curl, you're following the flute of the bit, and it's taking it out in an efficient manner. That's why it's really nice to have a bunch of machinists that I can pick on, because they can tell me these little hints and tricks. And you'll be able to feel just a little stutter before it breaks through the other side. And if you're bright enough to pay attention to it, you can back off. And
Now we're putting the chamfer in, which is what did you say? How many degree?
if I remember right, these are 82 degree chamfers, and that should match the, I believe that's 82 degree there. But you can see that the chamfer lines up with the screw.
Yep.
And this is one thing, there's some mathematical formula to figure out how many thousandths to go down per degree, blah, blah, blah. I never figured that out. So for me, it's always trial and error. I know that's not enough. And that's probably certainly not not near enough. I got a bit more to go. And I'll keep going. Just a touch more, and if you get this exactly right, you'll feel it go flush on you.
Flush like a toilet.
Still just a touch high.
I don't know that these are ultimately the screws I'm going to use either, but if it works for this screw, it should work for any. So
Yeah. Just a touch more. Yeah, feel that. Does that feel? It might be just a touch proud.
yeah, it's fine. Got all our screws in, bolted down nicely.
And like you were saying, by the time this is all surface finished and all of that, it's going to be a little bit lower. So these will have to be opened up, but then you can get the right length screws to add on the extra length you need.
And those screws might work anyway because we're going to,
Yeah, we're going to look down.
right, it's not going to be a lot, but by the time we polish it, I could powder coat it, but I don't know if that would fit in my oven to bake. It might be too big. We'll figure it out.
We could make you a bigger oven.
There you go. I don't need another project like that right now. We're just test fitting it in the car. The console is pretty close. There's a lot of latitude this way in the way the console can mount. But my main concern is if you see my marks I put on here, these are the guys at ebodies.org Facebook page. Two guys gave me dimensions. I verified them with each other. They're within 1/8 of an inch, so good enough. And this is where our opening will be. And you can see it lines up centered right over where I cut the hole in my fabricated hump. So it should be, I mean, it's close. It's going to be close, I think. Good enough. At least for the girls I go with.
I don't know what you're talking about. Which side of the line do you want me to go on? We want to keep the line, or you want to lose the line?
I lose the line because I traced it. You know, my dimension, you can see I even went inside of where I actually measured. So,
So our bit is 1/2 inch. Did that land right? Don't think that landed right. Why am I so far? Yeah, here we go.
so what he's doing is we're putting a radius in the inside similar to what the factory did. The factory had a radius out here also. We're not going to do that. It's a custom piece anyway, and to get this inner piece cut accurately the way we want, we think it makes the most sense to just skip that. So we'll just put a little radius on this edge this way just to round that out a little bit.
There, now I can.
So we're going to drill a hole, 1/2 inch hole in each corner to put a radius in there. And And that'll also give us room to work with the saber saw to cut that. And we'll use a finer bit so we get a nice fine cut so we won't have to do as much sanding. We have the holes drilled now, so we'll have those radiuses that we want. So then we're going to take the saber saw, cut that piece out, and then dress it up. And
by the time this line right here gets transferred down, that'll come just right here.
Yep.
And then this is the back side, which will come right here. So we've got just a little bit of room to clean that up right there. And then this one, yeah, we've still got more room to play. We got more room to work away on this corner.
great.
Yeah, and by the time we dress these corners, we got just enough relief here that we can connect this line.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep. This will be the hardest part to dress because we can't do that on the belt sander. We can dress these on the belt sander, which is why we didn't put this radius there. So that may have to be done by hand.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting job.
If it was easy, anybody would do it. We can cobble with the best of them, Chris.
Yeah, beat to fit, paint to match. On there we can shift the belt over so we can come as close to this edge as possible. Parted that line. We're going to have to hand dress these corners because we can't get quite close enough. We've got about a 3/16 we can't get close to. And then we can track the belt back this way. I got this fool thing on my head, I might as well use it. Let's just deburr that. But yeah, that comes down and we should be able to just dress these.
Yep. Use that little rasp to put that radius back in this corner and go good from there. We're going to go over this with 320 on the DA, get all of our scratches out. Then we'll go over it with the Scotch-Brite pad on the DA and we're going to get a finish that looks about like that. So the camera's dying, so we're going to charge while we do this and you'll just get to see the finished product. Oh, we didn't show you the radiuses and stuff in there also. So we got that all cut out and dressed up and looking good.
Contrast to show is, this is what it looked like before. And that's what it buffs and polishes out to.
That looks so amazing. So amazing. It does not look fabricated.
Little bit of buffing. There's a few DA marks down in here.
Yeah.
Put a little bit more buffing and a couple good wipe downs, and yeah, you could shoot this with a clear coat.
Just shoot it with a satin clear and let's go ahead and get our screws in.
I got to get myself a picture of this.
That looks just outstanding. Thanks, Chris. It's a fun project.
Really amazed at the way that turned out. That nice long, smooth line right there. So it's nice to have the big belt sander.
I love that. That is just outstanding. As soon as I get some spare cash around, I'll probably get a shift boot ordered.
We're back in here with the DA or the 320. Well, we were
Okay.
doing 320 here, but
Yep.
can't get the DA and the Scotch-Brite. With it in the car, I should grab a picture of that too.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. That was an interesting experience, and I'm glad I got to test out that belt sander. That thing worked out quite nicely.
It did. That we could have done it without it, but
Oh, that would have been hours and hours to try
Yeah.
and do all of that by hand.
I mean, it was a couple hours anyway. But by hand, it would have been.
Yeah.
So that was just outstanding, and
I love the long length of that thing, and I've got some ideas on how that could be modified to work even better.
yeah, it's an outstanding tool. So if you want one, it was around $300. You said at Harbor Freight. So I'm
got
gonna be sad to see it go.
It's got a stand that comes with it. And
Yeah. But I know where it's at if we need it. You're only, what, 3 hours away, so.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one.
Rock!